Here we go. All right. So today we'll talk about cultural events that you have either experienced where you currently are or would like to experience if it's something that's coming up in the future. And then also any cultural event that you would like to share from your area in Ukraine as well. And then we'll look at culture shock and how we deal with that and what that means and things as well. Hi, Katya. Welcome. How are you?
Hello. I'm okay, thank you. Slightly
Good.
emotional in negative way, but it's life.
I'm sorry. We do kind of go through those ups and downs in life for sure, right?
Today is my bad day. Maybe the whole week was bad.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. But hopefully things will get better soon for you.
I'm in safety. I'm not dead, actually. That's why
Okay.
things will change.
Yes, they will. Okay. I'm going to start with Elena. Would you like to share about any cultural event that you have either attended or looking forward to attending in the future?
A cultural event.
Mm-hmm. Could be a festivity or something that could be related to like one of the religious holidays or something like that.
In Ukraine, we used to have a Ukrainian music festival on the west of Ukraine. It was called Banderstad.
Okay.
And I really missed it. It was really fun and very kind of, we heard Ukrainian and traditional folk music, and it was really interesting, but we don't have it now.
Right.
But another event I'm looking forward to go with Katya for some other concert, maybe.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I mean, just tell me.
That's awesome. I love that you all are getting together and doing these types of things with one another. So what will this event be like, do you think? What do you know about it?
About Banderstad?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a few stages, and one is where is Ukrainian authors telling about the books, and there are lots of fans waiting to take their signatures. One of them was Irena Karpa, one of my favorite writers. And another stage is with the music, and it's like till late night. And there is also a lot of nice food, like barbecue, shashlik, and some Ukrainian borscht, etc. And in the evenings, they burn like, I don't know how it's like a huge fire. We burn it because it's becoming cold, and people come to it to make themselves warmer.
I think that would be called like a bonfire.
Yeah, something like this.
Okay.
Yeah, bonfire.
Awesome. Neat. It sounds wonderful. And what time of the year is this held, or when will it be?
It's in summer, usually in the beginning of August, but it will not be today or this year, I mean.
All right, thank you. Marina, how about you? What is either an event that you have attended or looking forward to attending in your area?
In my area or in Ukraine, because when we start to speak about it's first event that came to my mind, it's during my Ukrainian life. I used to go to the small theater. It's avant-garde theater. It's underground, I would say. It's in Kharkov. It's a big like culture to visit some small stages with very small amount of people visiting. It's just maybe for 30, 40 people. This this event, yeah, no, not event, like play. For if we say about theater, how can I name this event? Is it play?
Play or theater, either one. Mhm.
Okay.
Performance.
Or
So,
performance. Yeah.
yeah, and it's very camera event, very
Small,
tight.
small,
Small.
in
Mhm.
Like cozy.
It's very small, yeah.
because
And
it's about the place in this as far as I understand
yeah,
it's about
not
the
cozy,
number
it's
of people.
about amount of people and about the scale of events. So it's not for big amount of people. Yes, and I'm missing such kind of theater very much here, and I ask already. I try to find something similar in here in Glasgow, and the local people, they say yes, we also have such kind of theaters here in Glasgow, but I understand that even if I attend these events, I probably will not receive such emotion as from Ukrainian, because I'm afraid I didn't I will not understand everything very well, and in order to understand you need to know the culture background from this country. So
Yeah.
but
But maybe, at some point you might, as you learn more about the history and the culture of the area that you're in, you might feel some of those emotions. But I think a lot of that emotional feeling that we have does come from just where our roots are. Your roots are in Ukraine. So of course you're going to feel more emotional and have more insight into those types of things in your own country. It's much more difficult to feel that in another country, but it's not that you can't, you just probably won't have it at the same level, for sure.
yeah, maybe some time I will try to attend, but
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to go, and those are the kinds of things that learning about another culture, I think, are important to go and experience in those cultures as well. Yeah, cool.
yes.
All right, thank you. Margot.
Actually, I always wanted to visit Brazilian carnival with some
Yes.
with these costumes and dancing and a lot of people. There is always
Naked people. A lot of
yeah.
naked people.
Yes. Almost naked, at least.
as I am now. Almost naked. So it's a Brazilian carnival.
Yeah, there you go. Give us a little Brazilian dance.
Yes. I just like where it's some sea or ocean and summer and evening and a lot of people having fun, and that's all. And now when I visited Stockholm with my friend, she gave me a tour, and we ran to one place where they give Nobel Prize. And I thought that maybe I want to sit and look how people get a Nobel Prize and for what, because actually I catch myself on thinking that I don't even know for what they give the Nobel Prize, and I thought that maybe if it will be in these 6 or 7 weeks, I don't know, it maybe will be cool to visit. I don't know.
That's a good question. I mean, there are different categories. I think, see, for this year, it'll be in October, so you'll miss it.
Okay.
Maybe. Who knows? You might still be there in October, right?
No,
Hope
no, please.
Hope not. Hope not.
You can come back later. So now you know where it is and you are interested, and whenever you want to come back, I believe
Right.
that the borders will be open for all of us in a year or even in a 2 year. I'm not sure. But I believe that until 2027, I'm making a prophecy. Starting from 2027, all the borders will be open for everybody. So there won't be any nationality or distinguishing by language, and you can come whenever you want.
You think that's going to happen by 2027?
Up
5 years from now.
2027, yes, I believe. I know.
I love that prediction,
That's
and
good.
I wish that
Do
prediction
you
was
mean
so
the
true.
whole world or only Europe? What do you mean?
I mean the planet.
The planet? Oh,
I do see that will be
you are
something.
optimistic, I would
I think
say,
it's very
but let's
optimistic
see.
for
I'm not
2027.
optimistic. I just know from human design and the path, the way to this 2027 change is quite. We are paying this price now for this opening the borders and this equality and so on. So it's not very simple way.
I
Mhm.
agree
For
with
us,
you,
for us,
Katya.
especially for us, yes.
Especially for
I'm not sure about the 2027. I'm very hopeful that would be the case, but I do think at some point in the future, and I would like to see that we just have open borders and can, move around and do what we want, where we want and things. So I'm with you on that. So yes. Okay, Margot.
Oh, I'm sorry, I interrupted again.
That's okay. No problem. So, all right. So, Margot, is there something else? Have you looked into like any cultural events in Canada that you might be interested in going while
Actually,
you're there?
no.
Or you just kind of, yeah, more like just I'll think about that whenever I get there, kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I would probably do the same thing. And then what about from your area in Ukraine, where what was one of your-
Actually, in my area in Ukraine, I was born in Melitopol and I lived here. It's like south of Ukraine, and our city is familiar of cherries. We have a lot of cherries, and this cherry very tasty. And I know that a lot of cherries went to Russia and to Europe in past.
Mhm.
Now it's locked only. Yes, but when I was in university, I go on exchange students to Germany, and actually Germany have some connections to our university. They give саженцы, как сказать, these things where
Young trees to plant, maybe.
maybe
young plants.
we have, yes, something to our examples of cherries to Germany, to France, and so on. So we have event called Черешнева. It's like cherry shnova. I don't know how to say it in English.
Okay.
It's a lot of
Some things don't translate very well, so it's okay.
Planting stock, саженцы, planting stock, or young plant.
Young
Okay.
plant, yeah.
so our university gives them young plant. Yes, and we have event called Черешнева. There is a lot of different stuff that you can make from cherries. It's different jams, different pies. No, it's a lot of stuff. It's our whole park consists of these people comes with this their cherries products, and a lot of there's a march from a lot of people. They dress like cherries. They have
Oh,
prints
wow.
of cherries. Yes, there is a lot of cherries everywhere. So there is good event that I actually like it because you can go into the park and try to eat some tasty food from cherries. So I like to eat.
Is that why you had said before cherries were one of your favorite things? So does that have a lot to do with why you really like to eat cherries? Is because it's from the area that you were in that's
Maybe.
well produced, possibly? Yeah, I could see that for sure.
It may be some unconscious things that
Yes.
you.
Absolutely. All right. I have three that I want to share because of one being here from my state is an annual event, and then one that I experienced when I was in Mexico, and one that I experienced when I was in Morocco, which I also just experienced this past weekend as well. So the first one is the one from Kentucky. So I'm going to share my screen. And this is, it's called the Kentucky Derby. It is an annual horse race that takes place every year in May. It's the first Saturday of May. And we have 2 weeks of events that take place leading up to the actual horse race itself. So we do a night of fireworks, and there's concerts and balloon races, like the big hot air balloons. Louisville, which is where the horse race takes place, sits right on the Kentucky River. And so we do also boat races as well, not like fast boat racing, but they're more of the, what is it called? Oh my goodness. What is that called? It's the Belle of Louisville, but I can't remember the name of what the actual boat is called. The river boat, that's what it is. So they do like a dining cruises, so they look like this. So there's a couple of them in the area, so they do like little riverboat race. It doesn't really, they're not moving very fast when they do that and things. But some of the big traditions, of course, it is a horse race. There's racing all week long for that first week of May. There's racing all week. And then the actual Derby race itself is on Saturday. And it's like around, it's adjusted every year. It used to be in the middle of the afternoon, but now it's like around 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, and it's 2 minutes long. It is termed the most exciting 2 minutes in sports history. Because the race only lasts for 2 minutes, but there's all of this big hoopla about it, for weeks and months and things. Tickets to go are very expensive, but I have actually gone, and I've gone to several other of the races. But part of the tradition is dressing up and wearing big fancy hats. And some of the hats get really, really elaborate, as you can see in some of these pictures. Some of them are just, plain regular hats, and then others are like just big, massive, like this is actually a hat that she's wearing there. So yeah, they get really, really elaborate and crazy and stuff. So that's the Kentucky tradition, Kentucky cultural event that I love. It's one of the things I love about my state. In Mexico, it's Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos. That's the Spanish for it. And this is the time when you honor your ancestors, those who have passed away before you. And it's held on October 31st. And so it coincides with Halloween for the countries that celebrate Halloween, but it is about celebrating your ancestors. And so there's a huge events where people dress up. They're called Catrines and Catrinas. And so the Catrine is the male and the Catrinas are the females. And so people just dress up in these crazy outfits, and they do what are called like altars, where you have things like this with the flowers and sometimes skulls. You put out little foods and things that your ancestors would have liked. A lot of people just buy like the fake food and have it sitting out and stuff. And then you burn candles. And it's about like a week and a half leading up to the day that you start doing all the altar and the candles and things like that. And so it was very interesting to participate in that. I did not get to do the full face makeup because my friend that was supposed to do it for me fell the day before, and she had hurt herself and was in bed the whole day, and she was like, I can't do it. So I had just one of the head pieces that I wore around, and we were still wearing masks at the time, so I had a mask of the skull like to wear as well. So that was fine. I just enjoyed watching the parade and everything. And then when I was in Morocco, it's called Eid al-Adha, which is the time that Muslims celebrate their it's the time when Muslims celebrate Abraham was going to sacrifice his son Isaac, and God provided him with the lamb instead. And so this is the time that they celebrate that. So I went on Saturday with some of my friends to the community prayer and then spent the day celebrating with them. We were just making all the food. So this is the breakfast that we had. It was all the traditional Moroccan food. And you may want to close your eyes if you don't want to see the sacrifice of the sheep, because they actually did the sacrifice of the sheep. So that's the next picture, I think. So if you want to close your eyes or look away, I understand. But it is part of the tradition. And so that's them doing that. So the guys do that, and then the ladies do all the other stuff. I stayed away, like I watched it happen, and then I sat up on the porch while they were doing all the other things with it, because they have to skin it and then clean it, and then that day they will actually for like the insides, like the heart and the spleen and all the pieces of the inside, they will grill those up, and that's what we had for dinner. I don't eat meat, so I did have chicken. They fixed some chicken as well on the grill, and then I ate all the other foods that we had. So this was my plate with the breakfast, or with the bread and the chicken kebab and the other stuff. So it's like an all day long event. I had to leave my house at 7 o'clock in the morning in order to meet them. And then I didn't get home until after 9 that night. Actually, it was almost 10 o'clock when I got home Saturday night. So it's something that's all day long. And that's one of the things I loved when I was in Morocco. Everyone also goes and visits other houses, like they're in their little neighborhood, on their little street. They will go and you drink tea and you eat little snacks, and then you go to the next place, and things like that. So all right, let's see what this is. Yes, I was going to mention that Coco, the movie Coco, is about the Day of the Dead, which is when I learned much more about it as well, because I never understood what Day of the Dead was all about. So yeah. All right. Any questions for me or anybody else with your events or anything that anybody wants to ask about?
No.
Good. Okay.
Maybe yes. One question. You mentioned the appearance of and including makeup, and 2 words. One word for female, another for male. What do they mean?
I will put
Then
those.
it was names. Yeah, Catherine and
Katrina.
And Catherine. Yeah.
And what does it mean?
Is it names or just what?
It basically is, oh gosh, now I've forgotten what it means. So hold on just a second. It means pure.
Pure.
So, oh, and also it can be spelled, I think I spelled it incorrectly. So it's more of
TH maybe.
Katrina, like this. So it is actually, and that's what I was thinking. I just want to make sure I was getting it right. It's a satire reference to the high society European obsession of the leader Porfirio Diaz, whose corruption led to the Mexican Revolution of 1911 and the toppling of his regime. And the idea is all the Katrine and Katrinas, they're dressed in very high society outfits, and like all the makeup and everything is also the idea that everyone dies. And it doesn't matter what your status is in society, death is still going to happen to everyone. So it started as more of a satire, kind of like making fun of the high society, but it has turned into being a cultural reference for the community now.
Oh,
Yeah.
such an interesting background. So it was like criticized and like being sarcastic about this high level of aristocracy.
Yeah. So it's typically it's the Katrina is the female. Hold on just one second. I'm sorry. Yes, honey. I have to teach all day long today, honey. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. My littlest nephew, he's wanting to watch TV and they can't watch TV whenever I'm teaching because it messes up my internet connection. So he's like, how many more classes do you have? And I'm like, I'm just getting started. I have to teach all day long. Yeah, so it's this idea that it's all of the figures, like you can buy the Katrinas and things too, and they're skeletons, but wearing these really fancy outfits and hats and things. So it is interesting how that came to be like a symbol for the day and stuff.
It's very, very wise. It was like reading more. I think that I have an internal, like, how do we say it? Like internal response to this story. So I think that I will read more about this.
All right, cool. I'll see if I can find some information I can forward to you as well if you're interested.
Yeah,
and watch the movie. It's on Disney, so if you have a chance.
I have watched it several times.
Okay,
already.
awesome. Great.
But I haven't watched it in English, so
there you go. That might be a good opportunity for you to do that. Yeah.
Maybe I have a suggestion. Can I suggest?
Sure.
How about to get together and watch it together even online?
That's an interesting suggestion. I like that. Let's talk about it more through the group and we can plan that. Sounds good.
Because unfortunately, I cannot do on my MacBook because I have some problems with sharing my screen. I tried, but I failed. So maybe if somebody can share your screen, then somebody will just
depending on the timing, I should be able to do that depending on timing and things.
Yes, it's good idea, but it's there is another problem with it's very hard to find movie in English for free.
I will find. Don't worry, I can find.
Oh, I got it. It's okay.
So it's not a problem.
That's not a problem. I've got that.
Katya, I'll ask you in private chat how you find it, because it's a really problem. When you start looking for some film in Russia, in Ukraine, it's okay. But in English, it's very hard to find something.
You should have more opportunities with where you are, and you can also use what's called a VPN which is a virtual private network that can help you find the movies in whatever language, but like Netflix, I know Netflix does. I'm pretty sure Amazon.
Yeah, but Netflix, you need to pay for subscription.
Right. But yeah, like free ones, I'm not positive, but we can definitely share that information in the group if anybody has any good resources for those.
Yeah.
But I have Disney. I've got access to Disney, which is where Coco is on. So we can do a movie night or something. It'll be a middle of the day for me, but night for you all sometime.
And
No,
my sponsors have a subscription to Netflix.
Yeah.
That's why it's good.
Yeah.
But
I use my son.
all the movies in English on the internet, just on the internet.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. We're going to talk today, the rest of the day, about culture shock. But first, before we get into that, I'm going to share my screen here for just a second again. I mentioned in the chat group this morning when Katya asked about some vocabulary. I did find something, Katya, so I'll do that really quickly at the end. But I found these two books. One is on English vocabulary in use. This is the advanced version. And then there is also, I found like pre-intermediate or intermediate and intermediate. Sorry, it's hard for me to get it to move. So I have linked both of these in this homework assignments page. So the pre-intermediate and intermediate is B1, B2, and the advanced is like C1. Actually, I should say like C1 plus. So you have access to those or PDFs that you can use. It's got little like exercise. It does explanations and then exercises that you can do. So it like runs through things. So this is about family and friends. So it gives you some vocabulary and things, and then gives you exercises to do. And then the answers are at the bottom, at the end of the book. So you can check your answers to see. So anybody who's looking to do some additional study, I know a couple of you have talked about doing IELTS and things. So these might help you with that, with your studies and things. So those are available for you if you would like. All right. So culture shock. What have you experienced with culture shock so far? Marina, I'll start with you.
Oh, today and here in Scotland, recently I have a lot of culture shocks. It in many cases of understanding. For example, for me it was I'm not sure. Maybe it's because of Glasgow, and it's they say that it's like very not intelligent city, but mainly it's a city for workers
Okay.
who are working a lot on different factories and manufacturers. Yes, but I was shocked with the young people who with their style of dressing, or even not dress. Sometimes they are not dressed at all. They are like like Brazilian carnival. Yeah. And also I am shocked with how they treating their child, because for example it's very windy, it's very cold sometimes in Glasgow, but I saw a family where parents are dressed like me, with some jackets and even scarf and jeans, but their kids, they just with short and t-shirts and that's all. And I also very shocked about this. And what else? If we say about cultural shock, it's not shocked. I was not shocked with another things, but it's totally different from our culture. For example, their style to attending some even cultural events. It's totally another behavior on these events. Sometimes people are more open, but sometimes they are over open. How can I say? So they show their emotions a lot.
Right. They're very expressive and very open with their emotions and feelings and opinions as well, maybe.
Yes, I would say yes.
For example, Marina, could you give an example?
It's usually in Europe, I used to see people who are quite strict in their behavior in France and even in London. But here they are very open. They can
Scream.
screamed a lot, yes, and on the it's hard to explain. In our country, sometimes people with low level of culture, they do such things. But here, maybe it's
Like animals. Like animals.
Sometimes
Maybe
yes,
not.
sometimes even
Maybe
though.
go to that. Yeah.
So
They're more expressive, I think.
I cannot say
The US
about
is very
the
similar to
whole
that as well.
city. I cannot say about the whole city. Maybe it's district where we are living now. It's like with some such kind of people. I don't know, but I really shocked a bit with with the behavior.
Yeah.
I've never expected such behavior in Europe. I thought that it's more
More US.
no US, but more south and east countries. Usually they do this.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Margot.
Yes.
What types of cultural shock have you experienced?
Oh, it's not shocked, but it's really surprised me. Okay, I tell you and you understand. When I was 18, I go to Germany to work. And
I went to Germany to work.
I went to Germany to work. And with guys, we go to a lake which between Germany and Austria, some lake. And I really was surprised when I saw a grandpa and grandma riding bicycles, come to this lake and do picnic. They do this, I don't know how to say, покрывало.
Blankets.
Blanket, yes, blanket with biscuits, with a lot of different stuff. Yes, and they really was very cute. They hugs, but they really was really old. And it's really surprised me because I lived in Melitopol in where when I saw grandpa and grandma who really old, they always scare or always scream to each other, even bites, and there is a lot of bad stuff I experienced to see when it was 18. Have to remind you. And when I first go to Europe, I saw this stuff, and I think like, wow, a lot of people, a lot of people in their old age actually experience love and respect each other. It was some sort of shock. I don't
Great
know.
story. Yeah, that's a very interesting story, and a difference in and just how people view maybe age, and how you view love and respect and things for each other as well. I will say here in the US, you will see both of those things, where when they're older, they're yelling at one another, but then you also see the walking down the street holding hands, or sitting in a restaurant eating dinner together or something like that. So there's a little bit of a mix that we have. All right. Thank you for sharing, Margot.
Yes,
Elena.
actually, wait, I'm sorry, but I have girls not here when I told about this. Actually, my culture shock when bus not stop when you stay under the light.
Yes.
It was my shock.
Yes, go ahead. Tell that story again, because now we're recording. So those who aren't in today, if they watch it, they'll hear the story. So that was a good one.
I have to tell the story.
Yes. Tell it again. Yes.
Okay. So I came to the bus stop, and there is a sign with numbers of buses, and I stay not under this sign. I stay like 2 or 3 steps left to this sign, and I look at my phone, and bus come through me and didn't stop because I didn't stay exactly where this sign is. So I have to wait 1 hour, and this I want to tell you that it's nobody but me in this area. Because it's village, there's no people at all, and only I'm one person who stays here, and he didn't stop, so I was like, oh. Because in Ukraine, buses always stop even if you just stay here. So it's another.
They stop at each spot. They have a spot that they're stopping regardless of whether or not someone is there.
Yes.
Right. But in Sweden, they do not. So that's something we all need to know. And Marina, you were saying it was similar in Glasgow as well, right? That you
yes,
have to be
but
standing right where
you don't need to
or
stay
flag them there.
exactly. You don't need to stay exactly under the sign, but you just need to raise your hand to let him know that, yeah, today I missed my bus as well.
Yeah. This is good information to pass on to people for sure. All right. Thank you guys for sharing. Elena, what types of culture shock have you experienced?
I just wanted to add that the same happened to me here in London, but the good thing about London is that buses go very often.
Very quickly,
So
yeah.
from my recent culture experience was here in Paris in metro, people don't give seats to kids. So whenever we were entering with I saw smaller kids than my kid, and nobody were giving them seats. But in Kiev, like it's I don't know, when we see kids, we give them seat. When we see pregnant women or old people, we give. But here, I didn't see that. That was a little bit shocking for me.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
And another it's not shock, but culture difference. It was when I was studying in year 8. There was exchanging between American and Ukrainian kids. I wasn't in this program, but my classmates told me this. Then when Americans came to their homes, they were opening the fridge and taking all the food they wanted. And for us, it was shocking. And
Yeah.
vice versa, when our kids were there, they were hungry and nobody gave them food. But then they were explained that if you want food, you just open the fridge and take whatever you want. Yeah, so it was a difference.
That is a huge difference, yes. And I will say that there may be places within the US that would not be acceptable for people to just walk in and open up a fridge and get food, but it is very common, especially here in the South. And but usually if you have guests in your home, you're going to offer them food, or you will let them know where they, that they can do that. So that was a fail on the part of the people that they were living with. I will say that for sure. Yeah. But it is true. We definitely just like, I can go into my friend's house and it'd be like, open up cabinets and refrigerator and, what do you have to eat?
Really?
Not everyone, but some, like certain friends, I could do that with, and they would do the same with me as well. So yeah. That's very interesting. All right. Thanks, Elena. Katya, what type of
Yes,
experience
just
have
let
you-
me to close the window because I'm going to speak maybe too loud to explain my cultural shock.
Absolutely.
And I think that and maybe this is not the cultural shock, but the shock about the family I live in.
That's
with,
cultural shock. Yeah.
The first thing which I noticed when I arrived, they didn't take off their shoes when they're at home. Whereas in Ukraine, we take off the shoes we are wearing outside and change them, and we are either barefoot at home or we have slippers. Here they even jump on the beds or sofas or couches with the same shoes, the same sneakers. They were walking on the street. That was quite new for me. Another thing that maybe only in this family, or maybe it's spread all around London, but the kids they have tiny hair almost all the time. They do not brush their hair. They can have something in their hair from yesterday's party or evening, and they can wake up and without taking this piece of food or something else, they can wander around the house during the whole weekend. It was another thing I noticed.
I think that's a family thing there.
I hope.
Yeah. I mean, we have kids in the US, we have kids that have untidy hair, but you don't leave like food and stuff in kids' hair. Like they may get up in the morning and not brush their hair before they're going out and playing. If they're going to school, they're going to brush their hair. But like my family right now, being here on the farm, the kids get up and just, throw clothes on and go out and do farm work. So they're not really brushing their hair and things to do that. But yeah, I think that might be more of a family thing and not a cultural
Not
thing.
necessarily food. It can be, for example, some holders for hair.
Oh yeah.
And for example, they were put 2 days ago, and they can be still there.
Yeah.
But not in the right place.
But they're not. Yeah, they're like all over the place.
Here, so they were there, but now they're here. Another thing, and actually I like this this discrepancy with maybe my family, and I would rather to have it if it's possible. They plan their day very carefully, and they have their suppers and lunches at the same time. So they tend to stick to the schedules, daily schedules. Especially, it was so surprising when I invited my sponsor to have supper in common, and he asked me what time precisely I have to be.
Mhm.
Uh,
And you're like,
and I mentioned something about that time, and then I understood that they are very precise at timing.
very interesting.
Yes, what else? Another difference from Ukraine, and it's in a pleasant way, it's surprising in a positive way. People are allowed to drink alcohol drinks outside, even in the parks.
Mm.
Whereas in Ukraine, we cannot drink alcohol drinks at the civil
Right.
areas.
Out in public, basically. Mhm.
At public places.
Yeah.
Yes.
In Scotland, no. Just yesterday we have a big not big, but some problems because it's not allowed to drink alcohol outside the home. Maybe you don't know these rules.
I know. I asked the owner of the studio I'm maybe will someday start working at, invited me for a drink. I made sure if to go to a drink means to drink alcohol. He mentioned yes, and he invited me to the park. And I was so astonished then that I asked him, "Are you sure that we're going to go to the park, not to the pub?" And he said yes. And yes, we were in the park, which is nearby my house. And I asked deliberately, "Are you allowed to drink champagne or wine outside in the park?" And they opened their eyes and surprisingly asked why.
Mhm.
Why are you asking? Because in Ukraine, we cannot do this.
Very interesting. Here in the US, we also have areas where you cannot do that as well. So we're very similar to Ukraine. You can drink.
Especially in the park, it's not allowed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Come to London.
Yeah.
If you want to drink outside, come to London.
London is very, yeah, they're very liberal with a lot of things. I do remember that. Yeah, and so also in the US, we have open container laws is what it's called, where you cannot walk around or like sit outside at like a park or something with an open container of alcohol. So you can't carry like a beer around or even in a glass and pour it in a glass and stuff to carry around. People do it, but technically, legally, you're not supposed to do that. Yeah. So, but it is, and then that can vary depending on city to city and state to state here as well. So it could be a difference between like Glasgow and London, that they just have different rules or different laws within.
Maybe in London people have more money to pay some fine.
Maybe that too. Who knows? Or maybe they're just like, yeah, we can do it. Nobody ever says anything. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
On Friday, I had mentioned that I have more culture shock whenever I come back to the US after being gone. And I think, Katya, you asked me to explain more about that and what type of culture shock that I go through. So when I was in Morocco, I lived in a very tiny village that did not have a cafe or a restaurant or a grocery store, anything like that. It was very, very tiny, very rural. And I had to go to another city in order to even just like go to a cafe. So I spent, all of my time was in people's homes. And, we shopped once a week at the weekly souk, which is the outdoor market, kind of like a vegetable market or something like that, although they had other things as well. So that's where we got our weekly food. And, it was on Monday of every week, and that was it. So when I came back to the US, going into a grocery store was overwhelming for me, because I was in, that situation for 2 years where I didn't go into these big spaces with all these choices of things. That was the other thing that was, it was a little bit of a culture shock when I first arrived in Morocco. As an example, I would order an omelet somewhere for breakfast if I was, if I happened to be in one of the cities. So I would order an omelet and I would want to have the omelet with cheese and tomato. Well, you can't do that in Morocco. It is either a cheese omelet or a tomato omelet. You can't combine it. You can't tell them what you want and what you don't want in them. And I'm like, but you have both cheese and tomato, so why can you not combine them into one? But it's like, no, that's not the way we do it. This is it. So I just got really used to not being able to make choices on things, and I went to one of those small little, we call it a hanout, which is just a tiny little space that carried some things that you might need during the week that you didn't get at souk, or you ran out or whatever. And there were things that I couldn't get that I wanted there, and I was like, okay, I just know that this is it. Or if I wanted something, like if I wanted to have yogurt, there basically was one type of yogurt that I was going to get. There's not choices, right? And so I just got really, really used to it. And I came back to the US and I went out to a restaurant as well with one of my friends, and I forgot to order whatever it was I was getting. I forgot to order it without onions because I don't like onions. And I've always ordered food without onions, but I couldn't do that in Morocco. And then somebody said something about wanting a Sprite, and then they were like, oh, I want a Sprite zero cherry flavor, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, my head started to feel like it was going to explode because there were all these choices that I'm like, I don't even know how to order food in my own country anymore. Like it is just the weirdest thing. So I still struggle with that. And going into like grocery stores and just being overwhelmed with the large amount of cereal options that you would have, or just options of things. It just blows my mind that there's so many different options that you can have. The other issue that I have is I'm healthier when I'm outside of the US. And I have a lot of stomach issues when I come back into the US and start eating, especially at restaurants, or even just buying food at the grocery and fixing it. And I think it's because of all the preservatives and things that we add to our food here. And so I usually spend the first couple of weeks that I'm back in the US with stomach problems the whole time that I'm here. And I like, not to get like too graphic or anything, but I literally can be like sitting in a restaurant eating with a friend and be like, oh, just a second, and I have to like run to the bathroom, kind of thing, because it's like affecting me that quickly and stuff. So yeah, those are my two big things with the culture shock and stuff. I didn't have any problems in adjusting to things like in Morocco. I think because I had already read a lot about it and I knew what to expect, but like women wearing hijabs and women staying more in the home and not being out and about in community and things, I just had kind of planned for that. So it wasn't a shock for me on those things. So yeah. All right. Any questions about that for anyone or for me? Thank you for sharing.
We have several cultural shocks more.
Okay,
to share with you.
I'm sure we have like tons and tons of them that we could share for sure. Yeah. The shoe thing, Katya, I was going to mention that also was something that I experienced here in the US for most people, and it can vary from family to family, but most people here in the US also do not take off their shoes whenever they enter into their home. They wear them inside the house and everything. In Morocco, it's very similar, where you've got the shoes that you wear outside, and then you have your house slippers that you wear inside, but you also do not wear those on carpet. So if you're getting ready to walk across carpet, you take your shoes off to walk onto the carpet. And I still do that now, because I got used to doing that. So I walk around with my slippers on most of the time. And in Mexico, we had one area rug that was in the living room, and I would always take my shoes off before walking across it. So it's definitely a cultural thing, but it's also a person thing. to an extent. So like I have a cousin whose husband does not allow them to wear their shoes inside the house. And my dad won't go to their house because he doesn't want to take his shoes off over there. So, you know.
Okay. For me,
Yeah.
it's a good habit because it's for
It's cleaner.
space clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. It's a cleaner option. You're not bringing in all the dirt and junk from the outside into your home. But yeah, I agree. I have a video to watch on culture shock, but I think I might send that to you all, and we can look at some vocabulary instead, because we're starting to run out of time. As always, getting close to the end of time here. I enjoy having just chats with you guys. I was nervous when I first started working with you all because I'd never had taught an hour and a half long classes before. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do for an hour and a half twice a week, every week for 8 weeks? Well, as you already know, there have been many times we're like, well, we can't get to that today, so I'll just send it to you to look at later because we talk so much. Like, wow, it's awesome. Okay, so here is some vocabulary that
I think it depends on the group, because sometimes I'm a constant learner, infinitive learner student.
Well, I think it's important also to share things, and there have definitely been times that something has come up with someone who needed information about how to operate, and with what you all are going through right now, and needing to know how to operate in the culture that you're in, and things like getting your permits and all that kind of stuff. And I just allowed it to happen because I thought it was important for you all to talk with one another, and much more important than making sure we covered everything in a lesson that we had. We always made sure we got through everything eventually, but I thought that it was more important for you all to have that chance. So, all right, quickly, we'll look at this vocabulary. Marina, will you read the words that are in this box here?
Yes, sure. Adjust, welfare, surroundings, overwhelmed, bond, daunting, daunting, homely, grave, homesick.
Yes. Okay. Any questions on any of these words before we look to try to put them into the sentences?
I think daunting is a new word for me.
I'm sorry, which one? Daunting?
Daunting. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's a seeming difficult to deal with in anticipation. It's intimidating. So the idea of moving from your country into a new culture can be daunting. It can be, intimidating. It can be unnerving, and this idea that it's going to be difficult to do before doing something.
And what is intimidating? Intimidating. Yeah. Anticipation, it's obvious.
Yeah, it's obvious, but intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
Intimidating.
Yeah, so intimidating, or to intimidate, is like having a frightening, overawing, or threatening effect. To intimidate someone is like, basically frighten or overawe, especially in order to make them do what one wants. You can be so intimidating can be, to me, I look at it as like it's something scary. If like to jump out of an airplane is intimidating to me. Like I have no desire to jump out of an airplane, right? It's intimidating, the idea of doing that. Having to speak a language that you're learning for the first time in front of natives is intimidating. So when I lived in Morocco, it was intimidating for me to have to go out and speak Arabic with them until I became more comfortable with something. And an intimidating person can just be somebody you don't feel comfortable going up to and talking to, that they just have this idea, they kind of put off this aura about them that makes them seem to be non-approachable, that you don't feel comfortable going up and talking to them.
But
I
have
think
you
that-
spoken Arabic?
I'm sorry?
Have you spoken Arabic?
Yes, I learned it and I spoke it for 2 years. It's a Moroccan dialect. So it is considered my second language, even though I took French when I was in high school. So the Moroccan dialect is my second language. Spanish is my third language. And I have bits and pieces of French just from high school. And I spoke a little French when I was in Morocco as well, because of the French influence that they have, where they have been, you know, a colony of France. So yeah.
Can you speak French now, like to support the
No,
conversation?
not really.
Because
I was trying to
German,
think like I can say moi français est horrible, which basically means my French
Terrible,
is
it's
horrible, or terrible or something. I can understand some of it, and I know if I lived in a French speaking area, I could probably pick it back up, but it's been years since I have spoken it, so it's not easy for me. And with learning Spanish, but they're similar but so different at the same time, and I get the two confused sometimes, and pronunciation, because a lot of words are similar, and I end up pronouncing them completely wrong and everything. So I haven't been able to compartmentalize my brain yet. It's all jumbled up in my head. So okay, any other words here that are new for anyone?
Yeah.
Crave also. I don't know what is it.
So crave is to like to really want something. So I can say I'm sitting here and I'm craving ice cream. It's like I really want to go and eat ice cream right now, right? So which I will do later. So yeah, it's something that
Everyone
you
scream about ice cream. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Olena, if you'll read the first sentence and then let us know what you think, what word you think would go here.
As you go there, it starts to become a little bit more predictable. Homely.
Predictable would be, yeah, the word, but homely, I think, is the one that they want there. Yeah. Oh, that's not showing up very well. Let's try a different color. Okay. All right. Margot, number 2.
I felt homesick and I felt sad. I really wanted to go back home.
Yes. Good. All right. Katya, number 3.
Oh, well, I don't know this explanation. Or it's a name.
I think, yes, I think it's a name. Yep. Vowel.
Yes, I felt very overwhelmed
Mhm.
with everything.
Yes.
It's not very clear from this
Yeah.
sentence.
Right. Okay. And Marina?
New people, new university, new surroundings.
Mhm. I think if we'd watched the video, it may have been a little more clear with some of these, because I think these sentences come from the video as well. But y'all are doing good. Olena, number 5.
I tend to really, Nigerian. What did you say crave means?
Is to really want something.
Okay, so crave Nigerian
Yes.
food.
Yes, good. All right, Marco, number 6.
The best part of that was I started to I don't know, welfare with my
Just
maybe a lot more.
It is not welfare, I will tell you that.
Don't understand actually the best part of that was I
So it's
started
like connect with is another word for connect with my flatmates.
bond.
Yes. All right, Katya, number 7.
when I felt homesick, someone suggested me maybe I speak to welfare advisors.
Now, I think this should be someone suggested to me.
Yeah. Someone suggested to me, yes, it's better to say. So is it a profession, welfare advisor?
So that is a really good question. And it's, I guess a counselor is what I would probably say, but I think maybe in other areas that it could be considered welfare, but I would look at that as like a counselor. Someone, welfare in this sense would be someone who looks after your well-being and helps you to acclimate better into your area. Somebody that you can talk with about things. Welfare here in the US, most of the time is associated, that word is usually associated with poverty and being, receiving like welfare benefits and things. So there is a difference in the meaning between the US and in Britain. So I think that this would be more, I see this more as somebody who would be like a counselor or somebody who's looking after your well-being.
Homesick, it's not homeless. Homesick, it's like feeling sadness because like of nostalgia.
Yes. So I'm sure all of you are homesick for your homes in Ukraine. And it is that feeling, that sadness, that desire to want to experience that again and be back there. Yeah. And we can feel homesick sometimes even when we're just gone on a vacation or something as well. It doesn't have to be that you've completely left.
At the end, especially at the end of vacation.
Yeah, right. You're like, oh, I'm so homesick. I want to get back to my normal life kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. Marina, number 8.
They suggested me decorating my room so it feels a little bit more daunting.
No, I think this is supposed to be homely here.
Homely, yes. I think
homely, yes.
But don't know
we already
what
have this.
Yeah, I don't know what word should be going here, to be honest with you, as I'm looking at them.
Maybe in the first one, then daunting.
Yes, I think that in the first one is.
I think, but it should be less daunting. Because the more you do something, the less daunting that it becomes. So I think that there is a mistake here a little bit. I think this should be less daunting. Yeah, I obviously didn't look close enough to all of this before saying this is what we're going to do today. So, okay. Right. And I forgot, is Katya, I think it's your turn.
I'm not sure, but I can.
Okay.
So, and I managed to adjust to the new culture.
Yes. Adjust, another word for adjust is to acclimate. So that is, I think I used that one a little bit earlier, talking about like acclimating to, you acclimate to the weather and to the culture, to your surroundings. It is to adjust to that, to be more comfortable and it feels more familiar to you. So you start acclimating to that. Okay.
There is a word in Russian language which sounds almost the same. Wait.
Okay. But the way you're saying it, I'm thinking that it might not be a good thing. It's not the same word. It's something completely different.
It's almost the same, but it's stronger. So it's like, yes, almost the same.
Okay.
To adjust to the reality after being unconscious.
I understand. Okay. All right. That is all for that. But I do want to look at just, oops, I forgot to clear those things. So I did want to look at this real quickly that Katya had asked about for some other ways
Thank
of expressing gratitude. So some of the words that you can use saying like, I'm so grateful. You can also say, I'm so thankful for what you have done. I'm very grateful for it. I'm very thankful. I appreciate it, or it is much appreciated that you have done this. You can say, thanks for your hard work. I couldn't have done it without you. I owe you one. This is like definitely less formal that you could use with a friend who maybe does something for you and you're like, man, thanks, I owe you one, which means next time I'll get it. So if you go out to eat with someone, maybe let's use that as an example, and they pay for your dinner, then you'll be like, thanks, I owe you. And I mean, like next time you go, you'll pay for dinner or something like that. Much obliged. So obliged means appreciative or grateful. So it's just another word that you can use for that. Very formal and used. It's very courteous in that. Thanks for having my back. This is another kind of informal, but you might say it to a colleague after a meeting or something, if they've helped kind of stand up for you and offer support to you in a meeting. And then you're like, Katya, thanks for having my back in that meeting, or something like that.
So that was my question. Which back? What is the connection between back and being thankful?
How informal is it?
It is like this, like your back, right? But it's the idea that you're providing support for someone. So your backbone is the support for your body to, stay up straight, right? So they're offering, they're providing that extra support that you need in that time. So yeah. Please accept my deepest gratitude. Again, this is very formal, that you would.
I'll take it. I'll take to my emails.
Yes. I have to give credit where it's due. So, maybe if you're giving a speech or, even if it's just a small group of people or something, and you want to make sure that everyone knows that other people helped you to do what it was that was being done, right? That is, it's not all on you. This has been such a blessing. I can't thank you enough. Cheers. Would be, I think
Cheers.
it's more.
Is it a toast?
That's the toast. So this is saying cheers isn't just something we say when we're giving a toast. It's also a unique and quick way of saying thanks. So yeah. Maybe
I totally this expression between it's very also very informal way.
Yes, very, very informal. That's so kind of you, much appreciated. Thank you for taking the time to do this. Your support means the world.
What is it?
There's multiple. There's a lot of these. So I'm gonna link this into that homework list of the resources, so that you've got that to look. I'm sorry, were you asking a question about one of the words, Katya?
About the world. There was your support means the world or something.
Yeah, what is it?
So basically it's just saying that it's like your support means the world to me, as I would add that to me on there. So it's like the larger this
like
doesn't explain it very well, because support, yeah, it's kind of an exaggeration of, but it's like, wow, man, like your support, it just means everything. It means everything to me. So it means the world to me, everything to me.
Okay, it's better to avoid.
And to what extent is it's usable? Because it sounds very good.
It's not an extremely formal. It is much more informal, but it can go everywhere from being very informal to just informal in there. So you can say it to friends. You could say it to your host family. Anyone that you feel has done a lot to help support you in something that you're doing, and you feel like maybe you couldn't have gotten to where you are without their help and support with that.
Ali, may I ask more than taking into consideration all these expressions, which expression would you prefer to apply when you write a letter to Kate Middleton, who is Her Grace here in London?
That I am not positive on which one. Maybe using the obliged, like I'm much obliged to, you helping out, or, something. That's a good question. I'm not really sure what is the formal. You probably, if you're going to actually write that letter, you might want to look up
The most
maybe like my deepest gratitude. Maybe, you definitely want it to be very informal. I'm sorry, very formal with her. So there probably is specific protocol that you could find online that says this is how you would address and how you thank and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, it's interesting.
The
Yes, there
Unfortunately,
is
I don't.
some rules how to apply to her. So we have to say her Grace, Your Grace. If we apply to, she's not a princess, she's the Duchess.
Right.
And it should be written on the paper, like handwritten. It's
Are you
not,
going to write to Kate Middleton?
Yes, I am. I
Awesome.
was going to write to her when the war started to ask her for help, but I wasn't in London there, and I found a girl who was in the USA, and she said, Katya, if you write this letter, I can send it to my friend in London, and she will send it by post to Kate Middleton, because they don't use emails. They accept only like letters by post.
Yeah.
But in a week, there was a news on their Instagram blog that she, together with her husband, of course, donated enormous amount of money to Ukrainian children. So now I want to say thank you.
Nice.
And I know that they are sponsoring one of the Ukrainian families as well.
Mhm.
I'm not a big fan of
interesting.
Kate Middleton, but I don't know why I follow her blog, and from time to time I read some news about her. I don't know why. Maybe because we have the same name. She's Kate and I'm Katya.
Maybe. All right, girls, this is all.
What is the name? I'm sorry. What is the name for people who have the same name, Katya and Katya, in English?
I don't know.
In Ukraine, we have the special name for such situation, but no?
I don't think that there is one in English.
Namesake.
Namesake would be like you're named for that person. Though. So like if I am named after my grandmother, then I am her namesake. Like,
No.
Katya and the Duchess having the same name is not the same.
Homonym.
Doppelganger.
Doppelganger is usually someone who looks like somebody else.
Homonym.
Okay. Maybe. This is name fellow. I just found that. I never heard that before. Let's see.
So you don't have this such a term.
Yeah, we don't really. I think usually we just say, "Oh, they have the same name as me," or we've got the same name, or something like that. We don't really have a word for it.
Okay.
Name fellow is the only thing I can come up with. Name twin might be one that you could say. Name twin, maybe. Yeah. That's a new, I've never had that question before, so that's a good one. And then I think you said homonym. Yeah.
Forgot my question.
All right. So, ladies, it has been an absolute pleasure to work with you during these. It was supposed to be 8 weeks, but it's been a little bit longer than that because of needing to adjust some of our schedule over time. But I have loved every moment. I've loved getting to know you all, and I hope that we can continue to stay in contact with one another as well. We will have the group in Telegram that we can use at any point if you want to share any information or to chat or to ask questions. I'll still be your English teacher, so if you have questions at any point, feel free to either put it in the group or you can message me separately, whatever. Follow me on social media if you would like. I'd love to stay in contact with everyone. And Katya, if you want to put together a movie night, we can get together, you and I, on kind of looking at some dates and times, and we can get that set up and then put it out to the rest of the group for anybody who's interested. All right.
With pleasure.
Prepare the glass.
Yes. I don't have another glass, but let's
I
cheers.
have a glass as well.
Cheers.
Some drops of coffee. Cheers.
Yes, because you explain us a lot about appreciation. We really appreciate your help for us. It's, how can we say your help is worth for us?
Yes, that's what I was saying in my mind to say. Your help means a world for us.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, everyone. It may be later tonight, like probably tomorrow for you all before I can get this video uploaded and out to you. It takes like 2 hours for it to upload now since we have not the best internet, so it'll be a little while, but you'll have access to it and I'll let you know as soon as it is available. I put the culture lesson in the homework assignment as well, and it's got the video link in it that you can access, and then also the link on the expressing gratitude words, as well as at the top I showed you the 2 books. The PDFs to those 2 books are linked as well. So everything, you have access to it all that we've had. So thank you guys very much. And I hope you have so cheers again.
Thank you so much for everything, for all
You're
your
very
time and
You're very
energy and positiveness.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, guys. I need to go.
I'm so grateful as well for this group, because this is one of my favorite groups among the other groups I have ever studied English with.
Awesome.
Because we are a small group and very,
Yes.
friendly group, I hope.
I'm going to stop